First contact incident. The vastness of uncharted space stretched before the HSS Defiant like an endless canvas of possibility. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge, her athletic frame silhouetted against the backdrop of stars. She was the youngest captain in the Earth fleet, a distinction earned through a combination of tactical brilliance and unwavering resolve. "Captain, we're detecting multiple vessels at the edge of our sensor range," reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson, his fingers dancing across the tactical display. "Configuration unknown. Nothing in our database matches their signatures." Alina's expression remained composed, though her dark eyes narrowed slightly. First contact scenario. Everyone remember your training. Maintain defensive posture, but do not power weapons unless I give the order. The Defiant was humanity's most advanced warship, a sleek vessel housing technology that represented the pinnacle of human achievement. Its curved hull gleamed like polished obsidian, absorbing rather than reflecting light, a stealth feature that had proven invaluable during its maiden voyage beyond known space. "Open communications on all standard frequencies," Alina ordered. "Send the first contact package." Lieutenant Kwan at Communications nodded. "Transmitting now, Captain." The bridge fell silent as the crew waited. The Defiant continued its steady course, maintaining a respectful distance from the unknown vessels. Through the main viewport, they could now see the alien ships, angular constructions with crystalline protrusions that captured and refracted the light of a distant star. "They're responding," Kwan announced suddenly. "But it's not to our transmission. They're communicating with each other, and, Captain, they're moving into attack formation." Alina's decision came without hesitation. "Raise shields. Evasive pattern Delta. Do not return fire." The Defiant responded instantly, its revolutionary propulsion system allowing it to move with a grace that belied its size. As the first volley of energy beams sliced through the space the warship had occupied just moments before, the crew remained steady at their stations. "They've missed," Jackson reported, unable to hide the note of relief in his voice. "But they're recalibrating. Next volley incoming in 3, 2. The ship shuddered slightly as a glancing hit struck its advanced shields. "Shield integrity at 97%, reported the ship's AI, Araya, her calm voice filling the bridge. "The alien weapons utilize a directed energy technology, similar to our phase cannons, but considerably less efficient." Alina tapped her command chair thoughtfully. "They're testing us. Let's show them what we can do without escalating." Araya. Tactical analysis of their formation. "Find a weakness." The AI responded immediately. "Their formation leaves a vulnerability at coordinates 227 by 84. A precision maneuver through that point would demonstrate superior mobility without threatening their vessels." "Helm," you heard her. "Thread the needle." The helmsman, Lieutenant Navarro, grinned with professional pride. "With pleasure, Captain." What followed astonished the alien vessels. The Defiant executed a series of maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship of its size, weaving between the alien formation with millimeter precision, disrupting their coordination without firing a single shot. On the bridge of the lead alien vessel, Fleet Commander Zorax watched in disbelief as the human ship danced around his attack formation. His 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of extreme agitation among his species. "Impossible," he muttered, his scaled skin shifting from deep blue to a pale lavender. A physiological response to stress. No ship that size should move with such precision. "What are we dealing with?" His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Telex, studied the readings with growing alarm. Their shield technology absorbed our initial volley with minimal energy loss, and their navigation systems, they're generations beyond our capabilities. Zorax considered his options. The Galactic Coalition had authorized him to investigate the unknown vessel entering their territory, but not to initiate a full-scale conflict. These humans, as they called themselves, had responded to aggression with restraint, a concerning development. Species that possessed superior technology but refused to use it immediately often proved the most dangerous in the long term. "Cease fire," he ordered finally. Regroup and maintain defensive posture. Back aboard the Defiant, Alina watched as the alien vessels pulled back, maintaining a wary distance. "They're standing down, Captain," Jackson reported. "Good. Let's try communication again. They know we could have engaged but chose not to. That should count for something in any culture advanced enough for interstellar travel." Quan nodded, transmitting revised first contact package with emphasis on peaceful intentions. This time, the response came quickly. A holographic projection materialized in the center of the bridge. A tall, slender being with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on a face covered in fine scales. Its mouth seemed too wide for its narrow head, and when it spoke, the translation matrix struggled momentarily before producing comprehensible words. "I am Fleet Commander Zorax of the Galactic Coalition Defense Force. You have entered protected space without authorization. Identify yourselves." Alina stepped forward. "I am Captain Alina Reyes of the human spaceship Defiant. We are explorers from Earth, seeking peaceful contact with other civilizations. Our actions were defensive only." Zorax's upper eyes narrowed. "Your ship possesses military capabilities beyond what we expected from an unknown species. This presents concerns for Coalition security. I understand your caution, Commander. In our experience, space is unpredictable. We built the Defiant to withstand unexpected threats, not to provoke them." The alien commander seemed to consider this, his scales shifting to a deeper blue. "The Coalition Council will need to evaluate your presence and intentions. You will follow our escort to Coalition Station Prime. Their representatives will determine whether humans represent a threat or a potential ally." Alina recognized the diplomatic opening. "We accept your invitation, Commander. Lead the way." As the communication ended, her officers exchanged concerned glances. "Captain," Jackson began cautiously, "we know nothing about this coalition. This could be walking into a trap." Alina's expression remained resolute. "Or it could be the first step toward peaceful relations with an established interstellar community. Either way, it's why we're out here." She turned to address the entire bridge. "All stations, prepare for escort formation. Area, continue passive scans of their vessels. I want to know everything we can learn without being intrusive." "Understood, Captain," the AI responded. "Based on preliminary analysis, the Coalition appears to consist of at least 7 distinct species with varying technological capabilities. Their propulsion systems utilize a form of gravitational manipulation that differs significantly from our fold drives." As the Defiant fell into formation with the alien vessels, Alina gazed out at the stars. Humanity had spent centuries looking up at the night sky, wondering if they were alone. Now they had their answer, and it was more complex than anyone had imagined. "Lieutenant Quan, prepare a data packet for Earth Command. Include everything we've learned about the Coalition and our current status." She paused, considering her next words carefully. "Add a personal note. First contact established. Proceeding with caution, but optimistic." As the ships accelerated toward Coalition space, Alina couldn't shake the feeling that they had just turned a page in human history. Whether the chapter would end in peace or conflict remained to be seen, but one thing was certain. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy, and there was no going back. Galactic politics and sabotage. Coalition Station Prime loomed before the Defiant, a massive structure resembling a metallic snowflake suspended in space. Its gleaming arms extended outward from a central hub, each housing different environments to accommodate the diverse species of the Galactic Coalition. "Magnificent," breathed Lieutenant Navarro, as he guided the human vessel toward the designated docking arm. "Must be at least 20 kilometers across." Captain Alina Reyes nodded, though her attention was focused on the array of warships patrolling the station's perimeter. Area. Analysis of defensive capabilities. The station possesses multiple layers of energy shields and weapon emplacements, the AI responded. Conservative estimate suggests defensive capabilities equal to approximately 15 Earth orbital platforms. Additionally, I detect unusual energy signatures suggesting technologies unknown to our database. Noted. Let's hope we don't give them reason to use them against us. A small delegation awaited the humans as they disembarked, representatives from 4 different species, each more alien than the last. At their center stood a being that resembled a translucent jellyfish hovering above the deck, its tendrils occasionally brushing the floor as it pulsed with bioluminescent light. "I am Arbiter Xolax," it communicated, its thoughts translated directly into sound by a device floating beside it. "Welcome to Coalition Station Prime. Humans, you are the first new spacefaring species we have encountered in 73 cycles." Elena bowed slightly. "We're honored by your welcome, Arbiter. I am Captain Elena Reyes, representing Earth and humanity." The jellyfish-like being rippled with colors that the translation device interpreted as curiosity. "Your vessel's capabilities have caused quite a stir among our military council. Fleet Commander Zorax reports that your technology exceeds our projections for a species at your development stage." "We've found that necessity drives innovation," Elena replied diplomatically. "Earth's history has taught us to be prepared." "Indeed, the Council wishes to learn more about these necessities." Solax's tendrils waved in what might have been a gesture toward the corridor. "This way, please. Accommodations have been prepared for your crew, while you and your senior officers will attend a preliminary hearing." As they followed their hosts through the station, Elena maintained a composed exterior while taking in every detail. The corridors teemed with beings of all descriptions, some vaguely humanoid, others defying easy categorization. What struck her most was how they all seemed to coexist without apparent friction, a complex society functioning across species boundaries. "Lieutenant Jackson," she murmured quietly to her tactical officer, "observations. Military presence is significant but not overwhelming," he responded under his breath. "I'd estimate at least 7 distinct species serving in security roles. Weapons technology appears energy-based, similar to what we encountered from Zorax's ships." She nodded slightly. "And the power dynamics? Still assessing, but the jellyfish species, the Xolani, seem to hold significant authority. Notice how others defer to them." Their analysis was interrupted as they arrived at a vast chamber dominated by a circular table. Around it sat representatives from what Elena estimated to be at least 20 different species, all turning to observe the human delegation with expressions ranging from curiosity to undisguised suspicion. At the head of the table sat another Xolani, its body pulsing with deeper, more vibrant colors than Arbiter Xolax. "The human delegation," announced Xolax, "as requested by the High Council." The larger Xolani's colors shifted rapidly. "I am High Arbiter Zilax. Your arrival has generated considerable interest, Captain Reyes, particularly the technological capabilities of your vessel." Elena stepped forward. "We come with peaceful intentions, High Arbiter. Earth wishes to establish diplomatic relations with the Coalition." "Peace is always preferred," replied Zilax, "but history teaches caution. Our analysis indicates your Defiant possesses weapons systems capable of challenging our most advanced vessels, yet your civilization has only recently achieved interstellar travel. This discrepancy requires explanation." Before Elena could respond, another council member, a reptilian being with iridescent scales, leaned forward. "What the High Arbiter means, human, is that species developing such advanced military technology before mastering peaceful cooperation rarely make stable allies." Elena recognized the diplomatic challenge. "Counselor, humanity's path to the stars has not been without conflict, I acknowledge that. But we've learned from our mistakes. The Defiant represents our determination to protect Earth, not to threaten others." The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of translated voices, some skeptical, others curious. Through it all, Elena noticed a humanoid figure watching her with particular intensity, a being with pale blue skin and 6-fingered hands who had yet to speak. The debate continued for hours as Elena fielded questions about Earth's history, governmental systems, and technological development. She navigated each inquiry carefully, aware that humanity's future relations with the Coalition hung in the balance. Finally, High Arbiter Silax raised several tendrils, silencing the chamber. Captain Rice has provided sufficient information for one session. The Council will deliberate. In the meantime, the human delegation will be granted limited access to common areas of the station. Arbiter Xolax will serve as liaison. As the meeting adjourned, the blue-skinned being approached Alina, introducing himself as Ambassador Cyril of the Vendari Confederation. An impressive performance, Captain, he said, his voice melodious yet somehow unsettling. Few new species navigate their first council hearing so adeptly. Thank you, Ambassador, Alina replied, studying his body language for clues to his true intentions. The Coalition presents itself as united, but you would be wise to understand its factions. Cyril continued, lowering his voice. Not all view newcomers with the same perspective. Before Alina could press for clarification, Arbiter Xolax approached. Captain, your quarters are prepared. Tomorrow, technical specialists will request a tour of your vessel. A tour. Alina's expression remained neutral despite her concern. I'm afraid certain areas of the Defiant contain classified systems. That night, as Alina reviewed the day's events, a soft chime announced a visitor. To her surprise, Ambassador Cyril stood in the doorway. Forgive the late hour, Captain, he said, glancing down the corridor. But some matters cannot wait for official channels. What matters would those be, Ambassador? Warnings. His six-fingered hand extended, offering a small data crystal. The Coalition presents itself as a unified, peaceful organization. The reality is more complex. Some factions, particularly the Kreslak Military Consortium, view your ship's capabilities as a direct threat to their influence. Elena accepted the crystal cautiously. And why would you share this information? Cyril's expression became grim. Because the Vendari remember being newcomers once. We remember how the Kreslak tested our resolve. He moved toward the door. Examine your ship thoroughly before tomorrow's tour, Captain. Particularly your propulsion and defensive systems. After Cyril's departure, Elena immediately contacted the Defiant, ordering a complete security sweep. The response came within an hour, Lieutenant Kwan's voice tight with concern. Captain, we've detected unauthorized access attempts throughout the ship's systems. Area intercepted most, but he hesitated. Something got through. We're still assessing the damage, but preliminary reports suggest the targeting systems have been compromised. Elena's mind raced through the implications. Lock down all critical systems. Implement isolation protocols. I'm returning immediately. There's more, Captain. The station's security grid just activated. No ships can depart without explicit council authorization. The trap had been sprung. Elena had known the invitation carried risks, but the speed with which their adversaries had moved suggested advanced preparation. Understood. Maintain alert status and continue the security sweep. I'll handle things on this end. As she closed the communication, Elena realized that humanity's first diplomatic mission had just become a dangerous game of interstellar politics, one where the Defiant and its crew were both players and pawns. The real question was who was moving the pieces, and what did they hope to gain? Redemption and alliance. The emergency alarm blared through Coalition Station Prime, its pulsating tone resonating through the cavernous corridors. Captain Elena Reyes sprinted toward the diplomatic wing, Lieutenant Commander Jackson matching her pace. Status update, she demanded through her communicator. Lieutenant Kwan's voice came through, punctuated by static. Multiple Coalition vessels reporting attacks along the station's outer sectors. Unidentified ships using some kind of stealth technology. The Coalition defense fleet was caught completely off guard. Elena exchanged a meaningful glance with Jackson. The timing was too perfect to be coincidental. An attack just as the Defiant had been compromised and effectively stranded. They rounded a corner to find Arbiter Xolax hovering anxiously outside the council chamber, its tentacles writhing in agitation. Captain Reyes. The translator conveyed a mixture of relief and urgency. The High Council requests your immediate presence. Inside, the chamber had transformed from a formal meeting space to a war room. Holographic displays showed the station and surrounding space, where multiple red indicators signaled the attacking vessels. High Arbiter Zilax's normally luminescent body had dimmed to a dull glow, a sign of extreme distress among the Solani. The attackers are using modified Vendari stealth technology, announced a Krislak military officer, his reptilian features contorted in anger. They targeted our sensor arrays first, then our communication hubs. Ambassador Cyril's face remained impassive despite the accusation. The Vendari Confederation has no involvement in this attack. Someone has appropriated our technology. Elena assessed the tactical displays, recognizing patterns in the attackers' movements. They're methodical, disabling your defenses in sequence. These aren't raiders. This is a coordinated military operation. What would you know of such matters, human? The Krislak officer challenged. Elena ignored the hostility. High Arbiter, the Defiant systems were compromised last night, specifically our weapons targeting systems. I believe whoever sabotaged my ship is connected to this attack. Zilax's colors shifted rapidly. Explain. The timing is too perfect. Disable the one ship with technology that might threaten these attackers, then launch your assault. She pointed to the display. Their formation suggests they expect no significant resistance. They know exactly what they're facing. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. If what you say is true, Zilax responded finally, then we face an enemy with internal knowledge of our defenses and your capabilities. A traitor among us, growled the Krislak. Elena stepped closer to the tactical display. That's not my immediate concern. Right now, we need to repel the attackers. The Defiant can help. Your ship is compromised, the Krislak reminded her with obvious satisfaction. Our targeting systems are compromised, Elena corrected. But RI can adapt. We have secondary systems that operate on different protocols. High Arbiter Zilax's tendrils undulated in what Elena had come to recognize as a gesture of consideration. What do you propose, Captain? Allow the Defiant to join your defense fleet. We'll coordinate with your vessels to target the attackers. After a brief consultation with the military council, Zilax agreed. Very well. Coalition vessels will provide positional data. Your Defiant will coordinate the counterattack. Minutes later, Elena stood on the bridge of her ship, the crew working frantically to implement her plan. Status of manual targeting systems. Online but operating at 67% efficiency, the AI responded. The sabotage was sophisticated, Captain. Portions of our targeting algorithms have been completely rewritten. Elena nodded grimly. Then we adapt. Lieutenant Navarro, prepare for manual navigation protocols. Lieutenant Jackson, coordinate with coalition vessels for targeting data. Captain, Jackson interjected, studying his console. I've analyzed the attack pattern. These ships are using a variation of Vendari technology, but their tactical approach is distinctly Krislak. Elena's eyes narrowed. Someone wants to start a war between coalition factions. On the main view screen, the battle unfolded as coalition ships fought desperately against the more maneuverable attackers. A massive coalition cruiser listed to one side, its engines dark. That's the Galactic Harmony, Lieutenant Kwan reported. Flagship of the Solani fleet, life support failing. Estimate 300 crew members at risk. Elena's decision was immediate. Set intercept course. All power to engines and shields. Captain, Jackson warned, our weapons systems are unreliable, and our position will expose us to enemy fire. I'm aware, Commander. This isn't about fighting. It's about saving lives. The Defiant surged forward, its advanced engines propelling it through the chaotic battlefield with precision that stunned the watching coalition forces. As the human vessel approached the stricken Harmony, enemy ships broke formation to intercept. They're targeting us specifically, Jackson reported. 3 vessels on attack vector. Elena stood, her voice steady. Area. Initialize Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega engaged. The AI confirmed. Redirecting shield harmonics. What followed demonstrated why humanity had become a spacefaring power against overwhelming odds. Rather than attempting conventional evasive maneuvers, the Defiant employed a revolutionary defensive technique, its shields briefly projecting outward in coordinated pulses that disrupted the attacker's targeting systems. "We can't maintain this for long," Jackson warned as the ship shuddered under a glancing hit. "Shield reserves at 60% and dropping." "We don't need long," Elena replied. "Position us between the Harmony and the attackers. Extend our shield perimeter to cover their life support sections." The crew worked with practiced efficiency, the Defiant sliding into position alongside the massive Coalition flagship. As the human vessel's shields expanded to encompass the critical sections of the Harmony, the attacking ships intensified their assault. "Shield reserves at 40%, Jackson reported, his voice tight. "Enemy vessels regrouping for concentrated attack." Elena tapped her communicator. "Coalition Command. This is Captain Reyes. The Defiant is protecting the Harmony, but we need covering fire now." For a tense moment, there was no response. Then, to everyone's surprise, Ambassador Cyril's voice came through the channel. "Attention all Coalition vessels. This is Ambassador Cyril of the Vendari Confederation. The human ship is protecting our flagship at great risk to themselves. All available vessels provide covering fire for the Defiant." The response was immediate. Coalition ships converged on their position, forming a protective formation around the human vessel and the stricken flagship. Caught in the crossfire, the attacking ships broke formation and retreated. Hours later, as emergency teams worked to stabilize the Harmony, Elena stood in the council chamber once more. This time, however, the atmosphere had changed dramatically. High Arbiter Zilax's body pulsed with brilliant colors as it addressed the assembled representatives. "Captain Elena Reyes and the crew of the human vessel Defiant have demonstrated not only technological prowess, but a commitment to the preservation of life that embodies the highest ideals of the Coalition." Ambassador Cyril stepped forward, presenting a data crystal. "Our investigation confirms what Captain Reyes suspected. The attack was orchestrated by a splinter faction within the Krislak military consortium, using stolen Vendari technology to trigger conflict between our peoples." The revelation sent shockwaves through the council. Several Krislak representatives protested, but their objections were silenced when their own intelligence chief confirmed Cyril's findings. "The faction has been identified and contained," the Krislak intelligence officer reported reluctantly. They feared the humans would upset the balance of power within the Coalition. High Arbiter Zilax turned to Elena. "Captain Reyes, on behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I extend our deepest gratitude and an official invitation. Earth is hereby recognized as a provisional member of the Coalition, with all rights and protections such status entails." Elena bowed respectfully. "Earth accepts this honor, High Arbiter. We look forward to a partnership based on mutual respect and cooperation." As the formal proceedings concluded, Ambassador Cyril approached Elena privately. "You took a significant risk for people you barely knew, Captain. That is not common in our experience." Elena smiled slightly. "Perhaps that's why we humans have survived despite our relative technological disadvantages. We understand that true strength lies not just in our weapons, but in our willingness to stand together against common threats." Cyril's 6-fingered hand extended in a gesture that transcended species barriers. "Then I believe the Coalition has much to learn from humanity, Captain Reyes, and perhaps humanity has things to learn from us as well." As the Defiant prepared to return to Earth with news of their newfound galactic alliance, Elena stood on the observation deck, watching the vast expanse of Coalition Station Prime against the backdrop of stars. Lieutenant Commander Jackson joined her, his expression thoughtful. "Quite the first contact mission, Captain." Elena nodded. "Not exactly what Earth Command expected when they sent us out to explore." No, Jackson agreed. They expected us to find new worlds, maybe new resources. Instead, we found a community of civilizations and our place within it. And challenges, Alina added. The faction that orchestrated the attack won't be the last to see humanity as a threat rather than an ally. Jackson smiled. Then it's fortunate they underestimated us. Seems to be a common mistake. As the Defiant disengaged from the station and set course for Earth, Alina couldn't help but feel that humanity had just taken its first true steps into a larger universe, one filled with both peril and promise in equal measure. The journey ahead would not be easy, but if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was turning adversity into opportunity. And in that moment, as stars streaked past the viewport, Captain Alina Reyes knew that the greatest chapter in human history was just beginning to unfold. YouTube video description. Embark on an epic journey as humanity's most advanced warship, the HSS Defiant, encounters a vast alien coalition. When Captain Alina Reyes demonstrates the remarkable capabilities of Earth's technology, suspicion and sabotage follow. Experience this thrilling tale of first contact, interstellar politics, and human ingenuity as Earth finds its place among the stars. Watch as humanity proves that true strength comes not just from advanced technology, but from courage and determination in the face of overwhelming odds.